Listen carefully, you pathetic and penniless little woman. I have already submitted the divorce documents. This home, everything inside it, and the luxury automobile are all mine. Once this is finished, I will be marrying my fiancé. My husband shouted at me, declared the divorce, and evicted me while I was severely unwell. He took everything, believing he had triumphed. He was profoundly mistaken. Merely a few days later, he would be the one phoning me in tears. Before the tale commences, kindly inform me in the comments which state you are viewing this from. Remember to like and subscribe so the channel can continue expanding and provide you with more captivating narratives. Nala Aibo lay in the enormous bed. The linens felt chilly, yet her entire body burned. The thin chemise she typically wore at home was drenched, clinging to her temples with perspiration. Her throat was parched and painful. Each inhalation brought a sharp ache. She had been confined to bed, utterly helpless, for 2 consecutive days. That morning she had requested her husband, Zia, to purchase fever reducers and antibiotics for her, but it was now deep into the night and Zia had not returned. The large suburban Atlanta residence was silent, unnervingly quiet. All she could perceive was the ticking of the wall clock in the living room, as if counting down the last fragments of her patience. Nala attempted to reach the water glass on the nightstand, but her hand shook violently. The glass slipped, crashing onto the thick area rug and spilling the remaining water. All Nala could manage was to shut her eyes, enduring the despair. Zia had transformed over the previous year. Ever since his promotion to department head at his company, his demeanor had grown arrogant. He frequently returned home late and was quick to blame Nala for any and every issue. The breaking point arrived 3 months ago when Nala began coughing frequently and feeling easily exhausted. Zia never displayed compassion. On the contrary, he labeled her the sickly woman. He seemed to have forgotten that Nala was the wife who had stood by him when they possessed nothing, back when they resided in a cramped, rented apartment in Brooklyn. The sound of a luxury sedan pulling into the driveway was heard. Nala felt a slight measure of relief. Finally, Zia was back. Surely he had brought the medication. Nala tried to sit up, supporting her sore back against the headboard. She awaited Zia to open the door with the drugs. The front door slammed shut, followed by heavy, rapid footsteps. They were not the steps of a concerned person. They were the steps of an angry individual. The bedroom door flew open, revealing Zia's tall, upright figure. He still wore his flawless designer shirt. His hair was neatly coiffed and his face was handsome, but the gaze he directed at Nala was filled with icy hatred. In his hands there was no pharmacy bag. What he carried was a thick brown legal folder. Zia, Nala's voice was hoarse and feeble. Where are my medicines? My head aches terribly, dear. I have a fever. Zia laughed, a discordant, jarring sound. Medicines? I've brought something far superior to medicine. This is the cure for both of us. A remedy for my life, Zia proclaimed. He strode over and flung the brown folder onto the comforter covering Nala's legs. Nala trembled, regarding the folder with confusion. What is this, dear? Open it if you don't wish to die from curiosity, Zia replied in a cold, cutting tone. Summoning the last of her strength, Nala picked up the folder. Her trembling fingers struggled to break the envelope's seal. She extracted several sheets of paper. On the top line, she read the words, "Petition for dissolution of marriage." Nala's world seemed to halt. She gasped for air. The feverish heat vanished, supplanted by a cold that penetrated her bones. She looked at Zia, searching her husband's eyes for the slightest hint of hesitation, but all she found was satisfaction. "Divorce!" Nala whispered in disbelief. "Why are you surprised?" Zia scoffed. He sat on the edge of the bed but kept his distance as if Nala disgusted him. Listen carefully. You sickly, destitute little woman. Do you believe I want to spend the remainder of my life tending to a useless burden like you? I have handled everything. I have already filed the divorce papers. Zia stood again and paced the room as if delivering a speech. I am sick of it. Sick of watching you cough every day. Sick of seeing you lie in bed with no vitality. You are a liability, a weight upon my life. Dear, what did I do incorrectly? Nala tried to speak, but tears began to well in her eyes. Your fault is being impoverished. You cannot provide me with anything. Zia gestured around the opulent room. Look at all this. This house, all this costly furniture, the luxury SUV in the garage, it will all be mine. I am the one who toiled diligently for all this. Everything is under my name. Nala said nothing. Behind her gaze was something Zia could not decipher. Zia interpreted Nala's silence as a sign of surrender. Are you listening to me? You will not receive a single cent. Asset division? Do not even fantasize about it. You brought nothing into this household, and you will depart with nothing. Then Zia uttered the words that shattered what little remained of Nala's heart. When this concludes, he stated, his face glowing, I am marrying my fiancée, Aina. He paused for effect. She is far healthier, far more beautiful, and most importantly, she comprehends my standing as a prosperous man, unlike you. Nala closed her eyes. So there was another woman. The name was unfamiliar, but the pain was entirely genuine. I do not wish to see your face in this house again tomorrow morning, Zia added cruelly. I am giving you until dawn. Depart from this residence tomorrow morning. Do not take anything except the garments on your ailing body. Zia observed Nala, who now wept silently. Hot tears streamed down her pale cheeks. Crying will alter nothing. The documents are already filed. The process will be swift. Zia then turned and straightened his shirt. I am staying at Anya's downtown loft tonight. I refuse to be beneath the same roof as you. He paused at the door. Tomorrow morning I am dispatching someone to ensure you are gone. Nala wanted to scream, she wanted to curse him, but all her strength was drained. She could only watch her husband's back vanish behind the door. The bedroom door slammed shut. Then came the slam of the main door. A moment later, the roar of Zia's SUV leaving the driveway. Nala was alone, gravely ill, divorced, and evicted. She wept her heart out. The agony in her heart was far more severe than the fever scorching her body. She cried for her shattered marriage and for the brutal betrayal. After crying for 15 minutes, Nala ceased. She gasped for air, roughly wiping away her tears. Amidst the torment, something else arose, something cold, hard, and calculating. Her face, which had been pale, now solidified into resolve. She fumbled beneath the pillow. It was not the one she typically used. It was an extra pillow she always kept there. Her fingers touched a hard, slender object. She extracted it. It was a state-of-the-art smartphone, significantly more sophisticated than the old phone she used to keep on the nightstand. That phone was her sole secret, an item Zia did not even know existed. The phone lacked a pattern lock. It opened with her fingerprint. The screen illuminated, displaying a plain white background. There were no social media applications, only encrypted business apps. Nala opened a single contact, saved under the name Director Imani Nkoshi. She pressed the call button. Her heart pounded, not from illness, but from the fury beginning to surge within her. The call connected on the first ring. A woman's composed, professional voice answered on the other end. Good evening, Miss Nala. You are calling at this hour. Are you all right? I was informed you were unwell. Nala inhaled deeply, attempting to steady her quavering voice. Director Nkosi, she said, her voice raspy yet sounding exceedingly cold. Contingency plan, activate it. There was a brief silence on the other end. Then Director Nkosi's voice turned serious. Understood, ma'am. What has transpired? I was evicted. Nala stated, Zia divorced me. He believes I am a useless, sickly pauper. Good heavens, the sheer audacity of Mr. Zia, Director Nkosi hissed. Director, I am ill. My fever is extremely high. I require medical evacuation. I do not wish to go to a standard hospital. Come to the house and retrieve me. Bring the private medical team from the King's Mountain Clinic. No sirens. Proceed quietly. I desire no one to know. Understood, ma'am. The VVIP medical team will arrive within 30 minutes. I will come to fetch you personally. Can you hold on? Nala looked at the divorce papers on the comforter. With her remaining strength, she crumpled the paper in her fist. I must hold on, Director. The game has merely commenced. She terminated the call. Her body still trembled from the fever, but her eyes now glowed with sharpness in the room's darkness. Zia had just committed the greatest error of his existence. He had just cast out his wife. He did not realize he had just expelled the proprietor of Ebo Holdings, a global corporation with a monthly net profit of $1.5 million. Nala waited in suffocating silence. Every tick of the wall clock sounded like a hammer blow. She gripped her secret phone tightly. Her mind was chaotic. She feared Zia might suddenly return. She feared the medical team might be delayed. Her body alternated anew between chills and searing heat. Precisely 25 minutes later, her phone vibrated silently. It was a text from Director Nkosi. We have arrived. The door is unlocked. The team is entering. Nala released a sigh of relief. She had anticipated Zia would not lock the door. The man was too arrogant to think his nearly dying wife could accomplish anything. With her remaining strength, Nala pushed aside the comforter. Her feet touched the cold carpeted floor. Her head spun violently. She nearly fell but grabbed the bedpost. She had to depart. With trembling hands, she seized a long trench coat hanging behind the door. She put it on. She would not abandon this house in an undignified state. She would not permit Zia to take her dignity. The bedroom door opened silently. Nala flinched momentarily but saw two individuals in dark scrubs. They did not wear flashy white nurse uniforms. They moved swiftly and quietly. Behind them appeared Director Nkosi, a woman in her late 50s with a stern yet kind face, dressed in a sharp blazer and neat attire. Her face displayed profound concern upon witnessing Nala's condition. Ms. Nala, Director Nkosi whispered. I am prepared, Director, Nala replied weakly. Place Ms. Nala on the portable stretcher, Director Nkosi instructed the medical team. The team promptly unfolded a collapsible gurney. They assisted Nala in lying down with utmost care. Ma'am, we will administer a temporary fever reducer so you are more comfortable during the transfer, one medical team member said. Nala merely nodded. She felt a slight prick in her arm, and soon a cold sensation spread. As they lifted her, Nala took one final glance at the bedroom ceiling, the room she herself had decorated, the room that had silently witnessed Zia's shifting attitude. They carried her from the room and through the sumptuous living area. Nala's gaze settled on the large wedding photograph hanging on the wall, a picture of her and Zia smiling joyfully. The Zia of the past she had known, the Zia who was tender and affectionate. Now that photograph felt like a mockery. Leave everything, do not take anything, Nala whispered. Certainly, ma'am. We require nothing from here, Director Nkosi replied firmly. They exited the front door. In the driveway, there was no flashy ambulance. Parked there was a black Mercedes-Benz Sprinter, resembling a presidential escort vehicle. The side door slid open, revealing an interior that was a fully equipped VVIP emergency medical space. Meanwhile, in a luxurious downtown loft, Zia was laughing heartily. He poured a cocktail into a tall glass for Anya, a youthful, attractive woman wearing a sheer chemise. So tomorrow we will officially own that grand house, darling? Anya inquired flirtatiously. Certainly I evicted her. That sickly woman will not dare to object. She possesses nothing. Tomorrow I will have all the locks changed, and the following day we can commence remodeling the bedroom, Zia declared as he embraced Anya. How thrilling! Finally all this will be ours, Anya exclaimed. Zia raised his glass. To our new life, he toasted. His old cell phone lay on the table on silent mode. He did not wish to be disturbed by any call from that sickly woman. Inside the smoothly gliding medical vehicle in the night, Nala's condition began to receive attention. A doctor waiting inside the vehicle immediately initiated an IV. Temperature of 107 degrees. Fahrenheit 41.7 degrees Celsius. A rather severe infection, but we are acting now. We need to transport her swiftly to the hospital for intensive care, the doctor stated. Director Nkosi sat in a chair beside Nala's gurney. She observed Nala's pale face with a worried expression. Ma'am, you must remain strong. We have prepared everything at the King's Mountain Clinic. Nala closed her eyes. The fever reducer was beginning to take effect, diminishing the dizziness. Her thoughts drifted to the past. 5 years ago, at the inception of this entire secret, Zia had just been laid off from his first job. He was depressed for months. Nala, who was then merely a simple homemaker, attempted to console him. Zia started becoming sensitive about finances. He forbade Nala from working, citing pride. Your role is to be at home. I will earn the money, he insisted, even while unemployed. But Nala, who secretly held a pharmacology degree, felt frustrated. She had numerous ideas. During her spare time between household chores, she began experimenting in the kitchen, not cooking, but formulating skincare products using organic herbal ingredients. She recalled ancient recipes inherited from her grandmother. She utilized all her personal savings to purchase high-quality raw materials. After months of testing, she successfully created a facial serum and a whitening cream with astonishing effects. She tested them on herself, and the results were incredible. Zia, busy seeking employment, paid her no heed. He only knew his wife was occupied playing in the kitchen. Nala mustered her courage. She opened a modest online store. Initially, she only sold to acquaintances, but her products gained fame through word of mouth. Orders skyrocketed. It was then that Zia secured a new job. His salary was quite substantial. He started becoming arrogant. He frequently saw Nala occupied until late at night on her old phone, responding to customer orders. I provide you money, yet you remain glued to that phone. It appears you have nothing to do. Zia yelled one night. Nala simply remained silent. She had just closed a sale worth $30,000 that very night. The turning point occurred when she met director Imani Nkose at a seminar for women entrepreneurs. Nala attended as a participant. Director Nkose was the invited speaker. Director Nkose was a former high-ranking executive from a multinational corporation who had opted for early retirement. Nala mustered the courage to meet Director Nkose after the event. She displayed her products and a handwritten business proposal. Director Nkose was astonished by Nala's potential. These products are excellent, Miss Nala, and your business strategy is exceedingly solid, Director Nkose had remarked. In short, Director Nkose agreed to join not as an investor but as a partner. Director Nkose desired to work again and perceived Nala's vision. They founded Ebo Holdings. Nala was the owner and the intellect behind all products. Director Nkose was the CEO, the company's public face. Nala requested one condition, that her name not appear anywhere. She wished to remain Zia's ordinary spouse. Ironically, with the assistance of Director Nkose's network, she hoped that Zia, by succeeding in his new role, would become a better husband. But Nala was mistaken. The more prosperous Zia became, the more arrogant he grew. ABO Holdings, conversely, expanded explosively. From skincare, they diversified into luxury fashion. High-end apparel and accessories designed by Nala became immensely popular in domestic and international markets. New York, Paris, Shanghai, and even Tokyo. A net profit of $1.5 million monthly was a conservative figure. That was Nala's personal net income, aside from the company's revenue, which was dozens of times larger. Nala kept all this wealth meticulously concealed. She continued living simply, even when Zia desired to purchase the luxury house and the sports car. He had to take out a substantial bank loan. Zia boasted that he obtained the loan thanks to his exceptional job performance. What Zia did not realize was that his business loan, which was on the verge of default a year prior, had been secretly purchased entirely by an investment company, and that company was a subsidiary of ABO Holdings. The luxury house and sports car he was so proud of, which served as collateral for that loan, now legally belonged not to the bank, but to ABO Holdings, meaning they belonged to Nala. Nala opened her eyes. The medical vehicle was entering the VVIP section of the hospital. "Director," Nala called. Her voice remained weak, but her gaze was as sharp as steel. "Yes, Miss Nala." Director Nkosi leaned closer. Zia took the house and the car. He claimed they were all his, that they were under his name. Director Nkosi smiled slightly, a meaningful smile. "He forgot, ma'am, who settled his business loan from the First National Bank of Atlanta a year ago when he faced imminent foreclosure." Nala continued. "He forgot that the collateral for that loan was that house and that luxury car he boasted about daily, and he certainly does not know," Director Nkosi added, "that the investment company which purchased all his debt from the bank is ABO Holdings." There was a moment of silence. The doctor and nurse inside the vehicle professionally pretended not to have overheard the confidential conversation. "Director Nkosi," Nala said, "initiate the asset recovery procedure." "When should I commence, ma'am?" Nala observed the streetlights passing by the window. "He evicted me tonight. He will assume I will be homeless tomorrow morning. I wish to allow him to savor his victory with that woman. Grant him 3 days to relish his win." Director Nkosi nodded. 3 days. "Consider it the final complimentary rental he is providing us. After 3 days, our legal team will act." "Precisely. On the 3rd day, we shall reclaim everything that is rightfully yours, ma'am." "Excellent." Nala shut her eyes again. "Now concentrate on healing me. I must be healthy to witness his face crumble." The medical vehicle halted at a private entrance. A team of specialist physicians was already awaiting. Nala was transferred to a presidential treatment suite. Far from there, Zia was sleeping soundly in Anna's embrace, dreaming of his beautiful new life, completely unaware that his actual life would conclude in 3 days. The triumph was excessively sweet for Zia. He awoke in Anya's luxurious loft. The morning sun streamed through the tall windows, bathing the room in golden light. Anya still slept beside him, tightly hugging his arm. Zia observed her pretty face and smiled contentedly. He had accomplished it. He had eliminated the burden on his life. That sickly woman, Nala. He imagined that by now Nala would be weeping at a bus station, attempting to return to her parents' impoverished house. Zia chuckled quietly. She was no longer his concern. His brilliant new life would commence today. "Good morning, darling." Anya's husky, flirtatious voice rang out. She opened her eyes. "What time is it? Has that woman vacated our house yet?" "She is definitely gone," he replied confidently. "I instructed her to depart before dawn. She has no alternative. She possesses no funds, no power. She is merely a feeble woman who lived off me." Anya smiled from ear to ear. She arose from bed. Her silk chemise slipped, exposing her shoulders. "Splendid. I am already eager to relocate there. This loft is opulent. But that house is a palace, and I shall be the queen. Certainly, darling. Anything for you, Zia stated. Come, prepare yourself. We shall breakfast at our new house today. I will instruct the cleaning lady to discard every remnant of Nala's belongings. I desire not a single trace of her remaining. An hour later, Zia's luxury sports car smoothly pulled into the driveway of the large house. Zia stepped from the car wearing sunglasses like a monarch. Anya walked arrogantly on his arm. Zia opened the front door. Welcome to our palace, my queen, he declared. They proceeded inside. It was peculiar. The house was exceptionally silent, but also excessively clean. Too clean. Zia had anticipated Nala leaving a trail of chaos, throwing items or weeping, but she had not. Zia walked to the bedroom, opening the door. His heartbeat accelerated slightly. He found the room incredibly orderly. The bed where Nala had writhed in pain the previous day was now made with crisp, white sheets and pillowcases. There was no evidence of medicine or the shattered water glass. Even the rug beside the bed where Nala had dropped the glass appeared dry and perfectly clean. She must have tidied up, Zia muttered, bewildered. I am glad she behaved, Anya retorted from behind. At least she was useful one final time. Zia felt somewhat uneasy. It was strange. How could Nala, with a high fever, have arranged this room so immaculately? And where were the soiled linens? He inspected the closet. Nala's modest garments, her long dresses, and her headscarves were absent. The vanity drawers were also empty. She truly is gone, Zia stated, finally feeling relieved. He shook off the disquiet. Perhaps she had summoned a taxi and taken a small suitcase. Preferable this way, a clean severance. Certainly it is clean. Now let us measure this room, Anya exclaimed excitedly. I wish to replace this bed. It is too old-fashioned. I desire a round canopy bed, and these walls require painting. I want a gold hue. Anya hurried through the house. Her sharp voice fractured the silence. She pointed a finger at the furnishings. This sofa is hideous. Replace it. That painting is tasteless. Discard it. This kitchen necessitates a complete remodel. I want an imported Italian kitchen set. Zia merely smiled. Yes, darling, I will alter everything. Everything for you. We shall celebrate tonight. I will invite our closest friends. I will order the most luxurious catering in the city. Zia seized his phone and called his customary premium catering service. He ordered the costly menu items, imported Wagyu beef, fresh seafood platters, and European premium juice beverages. Understood, Mr. Zia. The total order amount is $2,000. Following procedure, we request a 50% deposit payment now, the catering employee stated over the phone. Certainly, forward me the invoice. I will pay with my primary credit card, Zia declared arrogantly. He sat on the sofa Anya claimed to despise and opened his banking application. He attempted to pay the $1,000 catering deposit. He entered the credit card number and pressed the payment button. The phone processed momentarily. Then a red notification flashed on the screen. Transaction denied. Zia frowned. Peculiar. The limit on this card was still hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is likely signal interference, he muttered. He attempted again. Transaction denied. Darling, why are you taking so long? Anya inquired, who was occupied taking selfies in the living room. One moment, sweetheart. I believe the bank is experiencing a network issue. Zia attempted to sound calm. He was beginning to feel somewhat embarrassed. He tried with another credit card from the same bank. Rejected. A cold sweat formed on his temples. This could not be. He was a VIP client. Why were his cards being rejected? He tried his debit card. Rejected. Insufficient funds. Zia's eyes widened. Insufficient funds. Impossible. His salary had been deposited 3 days prior. He hastily closed the payment application and opened his main mobile banking app. His heart pounded. He entered his password. The screen loaded and then a message appeared. Access blocked. Please contact your nearest branch. Zia's body stiffened. Panic began to spread through his chest. This was a catastrophe. He could not access his payroll account. He could not utilize his credit cards. Zia, the catering individual, contacted me. He states the payment is still rejected. How humiliating, Anya yelled. Her face was now furrowed. Relax, darling, relax. Zia was panicking. He recalled he still possessed an emergency account at another bank, an account he barely used, and which was not linked to any credit facility. The balance was not substantial, but there were probably a few thousand remaining. With trembling hands, he attempted to pay the catering deposit using that account. Success! Zia sighed in relief. Temporarily, he could preserve his dignity before Anya. See, it was a network complication, Zia stated with a forced smile. It is resolved now. The catering will arrive at 7 o'clock tonight. Anya cheered up again. Excellent. Now I must prepare to visit the hair salon. After Anya departed, Zia's smile instantly vanished. His face was pale. Something was gravely amiss. Why was his main account blocked? Did it relate to Nala? Impossible. That foolish woman could not orchestrate something like this. He promised himself that tomorrow morning he would call the bank and reprimand them severely. He would demand compensation for this humiliation, undoubtedly. As he paced the room, suppressing his anxiety, the doorbell rang. Zia opened the door. A uniformed courier stood before him holding a large brown folder. Mr. Zia. Yes, that is me. Certified mail. Sign here, please. Zia signed the receipt, shut the door, and examined the folder. The sender was a very expensive-sounding law firm, Vega Associates. Zia presumed they must be court approval documents concerning his divorce petition. He opened it impatiently, but the contents were not from family court. It was a notarized demand letter, a legal warning. His eyes swiftly scanned the harsh, formal sentences. Dear Sir, on behalf of our client, ABO Holdings, we notify you that you have incurred a breach of contract on your business line of credit. The total principal amount of $4 million has fallen due. We grant you a grace period of 3 days to liquidate the full debt. Failure to do so will result in immediate forced execution of your assets, namely 1 residential unit at 12 Oak Street and 1 luxury sports car unit. The glass Zia was holding slipped from his grasp and shattered on the luxurious marble floor. Sweat poured from him. 3 days, $4 million, foreclosure on the house. No, impossible, he whispered, shaking. I paid the installment last week. What breach? And what is ABO Holdings? His victory celebration had abruptly transformed into the commencement of a nightmare. That night, amidst music and laughter with his friends and Anya, Zia could only muster a counterfeit smile. His mind was chaos. He sensed an invisible trap gradually closing around his neck. Zia could not sleep the entire night. Beside him, Anya slept soundly, exhausted after their small gathering. But in Zia's mind, the words of the notarized demand letter spun like a broken record. $4 million, 3 days, forced execution, ABO Holdings. As soon as dawn broke, Zia sprang from bed. His body ached and his eyes were red. He did not shower. He merely washed his face and dressed haphazardly. He no longer cared about his appearance. At 8 o'clock, as soon as the bank opened, Zia was already driving toward the branch of his primary bank, where he was a VIP client. He had to clarify this mess. It must have been a clerical error by the bank. It had to be. At 8 o'clock, precisely as the bank opened, Zia stormed inside. He bypassed the line of regular patrons and headed directly for the VIP service counter. I am Zia. I wish to see the branch manager immediately, he stated loudly, slamming his VIP card onto the counter. The startled service employee promptly attended to him. Zia was ushered to wait in a special room. 5 minutes later, a sharply dressed relationship manager met with him. It was not the branch manager. "Good morning, Mr. Zia. How may I assist you?" "Permit me to examine your account." "Do not prevaricate," Zia interrupted curtly. "Explain why all my credit cards are blocked, why my payroll account is frozen, and why I received an absurd breach of contract demand." The manager calmly looked at his computer screen. "I apologize for the inconvenience, Mr. Zia. Allow me to inspect." Intriguing. What is intriguing?" Zia yelled. The manager glanced up. "We are not the ones who blocked your accounts and credit cards, sir. It is merely that your balance is effectively zero, and your credit card limit is entirely exhausted." "Impossible!" Zia screamed. "My salary is thousands of dollars and my limit is hundreds of thousands. I did not utilize anything yesterday." "Correct, sir. But our system records an emergency automatic debit on your business line of credit last night at 12:01 a.m. This debit has absorbed the total balance of your payroll account and simultaneously exhausted the entire remaining limit of all your credit cards." Zia paled. "An emergency debit? By whose directive?" The manager looked at the screen again. "Not by our directive, sir. It is an order from the new owner of your line of credit." "New owner?" "According to our records, the $4 million business loan you had with our bank was sold 6 months ago to a private equity firm named Ebo Holdings. We merely act as a managing agency for the monthly installment payments." Zia's heart sank. "Ebo Holdings? Why would they do this? I have never missed a payment." The manager shook his head. "That is outside our jurisdiction, sir. According to the notification we received last night from Ebo Holdings, you have been declared in breach of contract under the loan sale agreement. When a breach occurs, Ebo Holdings possesses the right to forcibly withdraw funds from your accounts as an initial late penalty, and it appears that is precisely what they have done." Zia felt faint. He clutched the edge of the desk. "How? How can I be in breach?" "We do not know the specifics, sir. Surely they are elucidated in the notarized demand letter you received. You will have to converse directly with Ebo Holdings or their attorneys," the manager stated with an expressionless tone as if discussing the weather. Zia stumbled from the bank. The sky seemed to spin and sweat saturated his shirt. He sat in his sports car, the automobile that would be repossessed in 3 days. His hands shook violently. Abo Holdings, that name again. He extracted his phone and searched for Ebo Holdings on the internet. What appeared was a colossal corporation. Ebo Holdings, a conglomerate operating in luxury fashion, global skincare, and real estate sectors. Their logo was ubiquitous. Zia had seen it before but had never paid attention. Why? Why would such an immense company purchase my wretched debt? He muttered in desperation. Then he recalled the name of the law firm in the demand letter, Vega Associates. Summoning the courage he had left, he dialed the phone number listed on the document. "Good morning. I am Zia. I received a notarized demand letter on behalf of Ebo Holdings. This must be an error. I have never defaulted." The voice on the other end was calm and chilling. "There is no error, Mr. Zia. Our client is acting in accordance with the law. You violated Clause 11, Section B of the loan agreement you endorsed." Clause 11, Section B. What is that? If you find reading the documents you signed tedious, Mr. Zia, that clause stipulates that you are obligated to maintain familial harmony and not commit immoral or dishonorable acts that might affect the business loan's image. Zia fell silent. He felt the blood drain from his face. "That is an absurd clause. It has no relevance to the debt." "It does, Mr. Zia. When your loan was sold to our client, All clauses, particularly that moral clause, were activated. Our client is a company that highly esteems family values. Your action of divorcing and evicting your gravely ill spouse, Nala, to cohabit with another woman constitutes a severe violation of Clause 11, Section B. Zia could not breathe. How? How do they know? We possess irrefutable proof, Mr. Zia. Photographs, audio recordings, and witnesses. We know you evicted your wife 2 nights ago. That is what triggered this breach claim. Zia's knees weakened. Nala. All of this was due to Nala. But how? How does Nala know Ebo Holdings? What do they desire? Grant me time. I will pay the installments, Zia pleaded, now trembling with fear. It is too late. Our client is uninterested in installments. According to the notarized demand letter, you have time remaining. Let us see. You have 2 days and 8 hours to pay the $4 million. Otherwise, our execution team will seize your house and car. The call terminated. Zia hurled his phone against the dashboard. He screamed inside the automobile. $4 million in 2 days. It was impossible. His salary was frozen. His sole properties were this house and this car, which evidently were not his. He attempted to think clearly. Nala. This is Nala's doing. But how? Does Nala work at Ebo Holdings as a cleaner and complain to her superior? Impossible. It is illogical. He endeavored to discover who owned Ebo Holdings. He opened a business news portal. The proprietor of Ebo Holdings was a mysterious figure. The company was managed by a CEO named Director Imani Nkosi. Imani? Zia frowned. That name sounded familiar. Suddenly he recalled years ago Nala had mentioned an Aunt Imani, a friend from her church group, who was an incredible individual. Zia had always mocked her. It is merely a cluster of neighborhood ladies, he had said. Could it be? Nala's group friend is the CEO of Ebo Holdings? Zia's head ached. This was excessively complicated. He had to locate Nala. He had to beg Nala. He had to request Nala to withdraw her complaint to Director Imani. Yes, that was the sole method. He immediately started the car. He needed to ascertain where Nala was now. He had to proceed to Nala's parents' impoverished house. He had to go immediately. As he exited the bank parking lot, his phone rang. It was Anya. Zia ignored her. Anya continued calling. Irritated, Zia answered. What? Where are you, darling? Why are you shouting? Come quickly. The credit card you provided me this morning was also declined at the hair salon. I am so embarrassed. Do you genuinely possess money? Zia struck the steering wheel. More complications. I have an emergency. You pay initially with your funds. What? My money? Impossible. Transfer money to me right now. I informed you I have an emergency. Zia disconnected abruptly. At the hair salon, Anya stared at her phone, stunned. It was the first instant Zia had yelled at her. She began to sense something was awry. The wealthy man she boasted about suddenly had issues with all his cards. Suspicion commenced growing in her mind. Zia no longer cared about Anya. He pressed the accelerator of his sports car. He had to find Nala. He would have to kneel at Nala's feet if necessary. He did not realize that the Nala he sought was recuperating from her illness. Seated in her executive chair on the top floor of the Ebo Holdings building, monitoring Zia's every panicked move through reports from her legal team. Zia could not escape. The second day was purgatory. His journey to Nala's parents' house concluded futilely. Nala's parents' house was small and modest, as he anticipated, but Nala's parents, though seemingly poor, regarded him with a mixture of hatred and pity. Nala was not present. They did not know their daughter's whereabouts. You cast out my daughter when she was ill, did you not? Nala's father inquired. His voice trembled with contained fury. And now you seek her. Depart from here. Do not dare set foot in this house again. Zia returned to the city empty-handed. The meager funds he had remaining in his emergency account were expended on gasoline for the round trip. That night, he and Anya had a substantial argument. Anya desired to know what was transpiring. On the brink of the abyss, Zia ultimately confessed. He stated he had an administrative complication and his accounts were temporarily frozen. Anya was not unintelligent. She observed the notarized demand letter on the table. 3 days, $4 million foreclosure. You are ruined, Zia, Anya screamed hysterically. It is temporary. I will rectify it. This is entirely Nala's fault, Zia yelled in frustration. I do not care whose fault it is. I do not wish to live with a pauper. That night, they slept in the cold, luxurious bed, back to back. Zia could not close his eyes. The countdown in his mind persisted. Tomorrow was the 3rd day. The morning of the 3rd day was the most terrifying of Zia's existence. The sun rose, but it felt like the world's end, 9 o'clock. As he and Anya breakfasted in awkward silence, the doorbell rang. Zia and Anya looked at each other. Their faces were pale. Zia shook his head. Do not answer it. Pretend we are not home. The bell rang again, this time more insistently, accompanied by loud knocks on the door. Mr. Zia, we know you are inside. We are the execution team from the law firm Vega Associates. Zia's heart ceased. Anya began weeping in fear. What shall we do, Zia? What shall we do? Anya sobbed. Zia, terrified, dashed toward the rear door. He contemplated escaping through the yard, but when he opened the kitchen door, 2 burly security guards were already stationed there. Please remain inside, sir, they stated firmly. Zia was encircled. He returned to the living room. As the team of attorneys managed to open the door with the assistance of a locksmith they had brought, a man in an impeccable suit entered holding a folder. Behind him, several court-martials carried Ebo Holdings seizure stickers. Mr. Zia, your time has expired, precisely after 3 days, the lawyer stated in a frigid voice. By court order, we will initiate the forced execution procedure of this house and all assets contained within to settle the unpaid debt of our client, Ebo Holdings. No, please grant me time. Zia fell to his knees. His arrogance vanished instantly. I will pay, I promise. Merely grant me 1 additional week. The lawyer shook his head. You are provided more than adequate time. Our team will commence their work now. You may only take the personal items you are wearing. You have 15 minutes to voluntarily vacate this property. 15 minutes, Anya shrieked. At that moment, Anya realized the reality. She looked at Zia, who knelt on the floor, weeping like a child. The man she believed was a king was now nothing more than a beggar. Anya's face hardened. She did not wish to sink with him. Without uttering a word, Anya sprinted to her room. A bewildered Zia shouted, Anya, where are you going? Assist me. The court-martials began entering. They were indifferent to the drama. They started placing Ebo Holdings foreclosure stickers on the flat-screen television, the luxury sofa, the costly paintings. Outside, the sound of a tow truck arriving to confiscate Zia's sports car was heard. 5 minutes later, Anya descended. She was no longer weeping. She dragged 2 large suitcases she had prepared at some point. She disregarded Zia, who stared at her dumbfounded and headed directly for the front door. Anya, are you abandoning me? Zia cried, his voice fractured. Anya halted and turned. Her face was full of hatred. Abandoning you? Certainly. I do not desire to live with an impoverished failure like you. I believed you were a monarch, but you were merely a clown. Relish your ruin alone, Zia. I summoned a taxi. Farewell. Anya walked out, dragging her suitcases past the execution agents without glancing back. Zia froze, betrayed and deserted, precisely as he had done to Nala 3 days prior. The distinction was that Nala was expelled while ill, and Anya abandoned him at the pinnacle of his ruin. Time is up, Mr. Zia. a security guard stated, seizing Zaya's arm. Zaya was dragged from his own house. He was tossed onto the hot sidewalk. He still wore his pajamas. He observed as his prized sports car was towed from the garage. He watched as the door of his house was chained and sealed. Everything was gone. Within 3 days, Zia collapsed helplessly on the concrete. Passers-by looked at him peculiarly. The man who had been arrogant was now a spectacle. He was alone, bankrupt, homeless, with no one. In his extreme panic, in his unspeakable humiliation, his brain could only contemplate one name, the source of all this, Nala. He checked his pockets. His old phone remained there. He no longer knew whom to call. He wanted to curse Nala. He needed to beg Nala. He did not know. He merely needed to vent. With quivering hands, he searched for Nala, my wife, in his contacts. He pressed the call button. He did not anticipate her answering. Perhaps the number had changed or the phone was deactivated. But it rang once, twice, and on the third ring it connected. Hello? The voice was Nala's, but it was not a feeble, sickly voice. It was the composed, clear, and frigid voice of a woman. Z, who was about to rage, suddenly felt exceedingly small. He wept. His sobbing simply erupted. It was the wail of a loser. Nala, he cried hysterically. Nala, assist me, please. Nala, I do not know what occurred. They seized our house, they took the car, they expelled me, I am on the street. Nala, why did this happen? On the 40th floor of the Ebo Holdings building inside a VVIP treatment suite, now transformed into a temporary luxurious office, Nala sat calmly. She was no longer bedridden. She was healthy, energetic, and utterly dignified. An emerald satin scarf now framed her face, which appeared resolute. Before her, Director Nkose and several department heads were in a meeting. The old phone Nala had requested Director Nkose to retrieve from the house vibrated on the table. The name Zia flashed on the screen. The meeting paused. All eyes turned to Nala. Nala raised a hand, silently requesting everyone to maintain silence. She looked at Director Nkosi and smiled faintly. She pressed the speaker button so everyone in the room could hear. Zia's hysterical weeping immediately filled the room. Nala, assist me, please. Nala, I do not know what occurred. They seized our house, they took the car, they expelled me, I'm on the street. Nala, why did this happen? Nala waited for Zia to conclude weeping. She gestured for the others to remain quiet. The room's silence contrasted with Zia's panicked voice on the phone. After Zia's sobs subsided, Nala leaned closer to the microphone. She replied with a calm, potent voice, a voice Zia had never heard before. Pardon me. Who is this? There was silence on the other end of the line. Zia's sobbing abruptly ceased. What? It is I, Nala. Zia, your husband. Ah, Mr. Zia, Nala stated with an indifferent tone as if conversing with a stranger. I believe there is a misunderstanding. First, you are no longer my husband. My divorce papers were filed this morning. Second, our house. 3 days ago, you made it exceedingly clear that it was your house, did you not? Zia gasped for breath. His throat was parched. This voice was Nala's voice, but not his Nala. Not the weak woman he could trample. This voice was saturated with authority. Nala, where are you? He whispered, terrified. What have you done? Your voice, are you well? I am in the midst of a crucial meeting presently, Nala replied. She reclined in her chair, observing the city landscape through the massive glass window behind her. They are discussing business expansion into the Middle East, something you would not comprehend. Business, you know. Zia was perplexed. Nala, do not speak nonsense. Assist me. I know this is your doing. It must be that friend from your group, Director Imani, correct? You complained to her. Please, Nala, instruct her to halt all this. I will do anything. I will return to you. I will divorce on you. I promise. A cold, cynical laugh emanated over the speaker. It was Nala's laugh. Return to me. Do you imagine I would retrieve the trash I discarded? And Anya. You are too late, Zia. She departed from you an hour ago, precisely when the execution team arrived. My legal team just informed me. Zia felt as if a bucket of cold water had been dumped over his head. Nala knew, she knew everything. She was witnessing everything. Who are you? Zia whispered with pure terror. The hair on the back of his neck stood erect. Who in the world are you, Nala? Nala smiled. Do you genuinely wish to know, Zia? For all the years you lived with me, you insulted me, calling me a sickly, destitute woman who only played with her phone. You never once inquired what I was truly doing on my phone. What do you imply? Nala signaled to Director Nkose. Director Nkose assumed control. Hello, Mr. Zaya. You are speaking with the board of directors of Ebo Holdings. Zaya recognized the calm voice from the demand call. Director, why do you possess Nala's phone? What is your relationship with my wife? Nala reclaimed the phone. She is not my friend, Zaya. She is my right hand, the CEO who operates the company for me. Silence. Zia struggled to process the information. You inquired who I am, Nala continued. She walked toward the window, gazing down at the street where Zia would be seated like a beggar. You dialed the number of your impoverished wife whom you abandoned, but permit me to formally introduce myself. Nala's voice now resonated with full authority. Hello, Zia. You are speaking with Nala, the sole proprietor, founder, and chairperson of Ebo Holdings, the company with a monthly net profit of $1.5 million that just reclaimed all its assets from you. The phone slipped from Zia's hand, falling onto the sidewalk with a thud. Zia himself froze, his eyes wide with terror, staring at the hot asphalt. He ceased breathing. His world had not merely shattered, it had vanished. Zia collapsed onto the grimy sidewalk, petrified. His phone lay beside him. The screen was cracked, but the call remained connected. He could hear Nala's calm breathing on the other end of the line, a stark contrast to the frantic pounding of his own heart. No! Impossible! Zia whispered, his voice broken, refusing to believe it. This must be a nightmare. Nala, you are lying, correct? This is all a falsehood. Nala's voice returned, cold and impassive. I lack time for falsehoods, Zia. I am occupied, but since today is the day of your ruin, I shall grant you a small portion of my time. There was a moment of silence. Zia remained stunned, staring at the asphalt beneath his feet. Lift your head, Zia, Nala commanded. Look across the street slightly to your left. Gradually, like a broken robot, Zia lifted his head. His swollen eyes squinted in the midday light. Across the busy avenue, a blue glass skyscraper stood arrogantly. At its summit, 3 giant letters shone in the sun. AHB, Abo Holdings Building. That building, Zia whispered, his throat dry. Yes, Ebo Holdings, Nala replied. I am on the 40th floor. I see you clearly from my window. You appear so pathetic, seated like that on the sidewalk. She paused. The security personnel in this area will expel you shortly. Zia swallowed hard. Icy terror traveled down his spine. Nala was observing him. Come to the lobby, Nala continued. I wish to see you. I desire to witness with my own eyes the face of that arrogant man crumble. The call disconnected. Zia stood stunned for an entire minute. His body was paralyzed. He possessed nothing remaining. The house was gone, the car was gone, Anya was gone, and now even his pride was about to be utterly annihilated. He had no alternative. Where else could he proceed? A morbid curiosity blended with a foolish hope of being able to plead made him stand. With hesitant steps, he rose. The pajamas he wore were already soiled with street dust. He walked like a zombie toward the enormous glass doors of the AHB building, ignoring the deafening car horns. The building's lobby was another universe. The floor was polished, imported marble. An artificial waterfall adorned one wall. Dozens of immaculately attired employees hurried back and forth, occupied with their affairs. The cold blast of air conditioning struck his sweaty body, giving him a chill. Zia stood amidst all this opulence, uncertain what to do. He resembled a stain on a white canvas. A beautiful receptionist looked at him with a mixture of disgust and suspicion. "Excuse me, sir, may I assist you?" the receptionist inquired. Her voice was distinctly hostile. I, Zira stammered. "I am here to see Nala." "Miss Nala?" The receptionist raised an eyebrow. "Miss Nala, do you intend our chairperson? Do you possess an appointment?" "No, but she requested I come here. Inform her it is Zia." "I apologize, sir. You cannot enter without an appointment." The receptionist already held the phone, evidently about to summon security. "Permit him to pass." A firm voice interrupted the receptionist. Zia turned. Director Imani Nkose was present, flanked by two burly security guards. Director Nkose's face was calm, but her eyes regarded Zia with disdain. "So you are Zia?" "Permit me to correct you, Director Imani," Director Nkose stated coldly. "I am not his group friend. I am his CEO. Now accompany me. Chairperson Nala is awaiting you." Zia was led through the lobby without resistance. Now all eyes were upon him, a disheveled man in soiled pajamas, walking flanked by the CEO and security personnel. Murmurs commenced. Zia wished to conceal his face, but he possessed no pride remaining. They did not escort him to the main elevator. Director Nkosi halted him at the VVIP waiting area in the lobby's center. "Wait here. Chairperson Nala will descend." Zia stood rigid. His heart pounded so forcefully it ached. He felt like a defendant awaiting his death sentence. Every second felt like an hour. Suddenly, a soft chime emanated from the private elevator at the lobby's end. Immediately, all activity in the lobby ceased. The employees who were occupied moments earlier, the receptionist, even the security guards at the main door, they all halted their actions. They stood straight, looking toward the elevator. Some made a slight bow. The doors of the VVIP elevator opened. Two personal bodyguards in black suits stepped out first and stood firmly on either side of the door. And then Nala emerged. Zia gasped for breath. He could have perished on the spot. This woman was Nala, but not the Nala he knew. The woman walking toward him was a queen. She wore a premium sapphire blue power suit that fit her body flawlessly. A silk scarf of the same color elegantly framed her sharp face in a modern chic style. Her face, which previously appeared pale, was now fresh, adorned with fine high-end makeup that accentuated her sharp eyes. She walked with confidence. Her high heels echoed softly but firmly on the marble floor. An aura of power and wealth emanated from her every movement. The employees she passed greeted her with respect. "Good afternoon, Chairperson." Zia trembled. Chairperson, Director Nkose, promptly approached Nala and made a slight bow. "Chairperson, he is awaiting." Nala nodded. Her gaze never left Zia. She walked slowly. Each of her steps seemed to trample the remnants of Zia's pride. She halted precisely 3 feet from the man now shaking. Nala examined Zia from head to toe, from his disheveled hair to his pajamas and the hotel slippers he wore. The gaze was cold, analytical, and merciless. "Nala," Zia barely managed to whisper. "Yes, Zia, it is I," Nala stated. Her voice was calm and clear, and it echoed in the silent lobby. "The sickly, destitute little woman you abandoned 3 days ago." Zia could no longer endure it. All his strength vanished, his knees buckled. Uncontrollably, he slumped onto the cold marble floor. He knelt at Nala's feet and wept uncontrollably. "Nala, I am sorry. Please, Nala, I was mistaken. I was blind. I sinned against you." Zia attempted to seize the edge of Nala's jacket, but his hands shook excessively. Everyone in the lobby was stunned. The scene was too shocking, a man hysterically weeping at the feet of their chairperson. Nala's two bodyguards stepped forward to remove Zia, but Nala raised a hand, silently signaling them to halt. She desired Zia to experience this humiliation completely. "Forgive me, Nala. Restore our house to me. Please, I will divorce Anya. I will be your husband again." Nala looked at him without expression, without pity, without anger, merely a freezing void. She leaned down slightly, not to assist Zia up, but to whisper to him. "Arise," she ordered. Her voice was low but full of authority. Zia, with the strength he had left, rose, trembling. His face was drenched in tears and sweat. Nala looked directly into his eyes. "You wish to beg?" she inquired. Her voice was now loud enough for the surrounding individuals to hear. "Too unfortunate, Zia. My company, Ebo, does not employ beggars." After uttering that, Nala extracted a silk handkerchief from her purse. Zia had a moment of hope that Nala would wipe his tears, but Nala utilized the handkerchief to wipe an imaginary speck of dust from her jacket sleeve, as if she had just touched something filthy. "My company," Nala declared clearly, "does not employ beggars." After uttering that sentence, Nala turned elegantly. She walked back to the VVIP elevator. "Director Nkosi, manage him," she stated without glancing back. "Provide him one final lesson." "Understood, chairperson." The elevator doors closed. Nala vanished from his sight. Zia stood rooted to the spot, shattered. The public humiliation he had just received from the woman he considered trash was 1,000 times more agonizing than losing his house and car. Director Nkosi approached him. "Come, Mr. Zia, let us conclude this. There is something Chairperson Nala wishes you to observe." "What else? What else will you seize from me?" Zia yelled in despair. "Not seize," Director Nkosi stated, "but to make you realize how foolish you have been all this time." Zia was dragged by 2 security guards, this time to a luxurious conference room on the mezzanine level. Zia was shoved into a chair inside the cold conference room. The room's large glass window overlooked the lobby, permitting him to see the lobby and be seen from it. Before him, Director Nkosi sat calmly, accompanied by 2 men in impeccable suits, whom Zia was certain were attorneys. Zia could only lower his head and stare at the marble floor he had already lost. He possessed nothing remaining. "Mr. Zia," Director Nkosi commenced. Her voice was calm, like a teacher about to lecture a foolish student. "You remain perplexed regarding how the wife you deemed useless, poor and sickly, Miss Nala, could be the proprietor of all this." Zia said nothing. He lacked the strength to respond. Director Nkosi pressed a button on the table. A large projector screen descended from the ceiling, and the room lights dimmed slightly. The screen illuminated, displaying a large title, "Ebo Holdings Business and Financial Report." "Well, let us begin the lesson, Mr. Zia. Let us revert to 5 years ago," Director Nkosi stated. Graphs, income statements, balance sheets, figures in billions that caused Zia's eyes to ache commenced appearing. 5 years ago, you had just been laid off from your initial employment. You were depressed, angry, and blamed the entire world. While you were occupied seeking new employment and lamenting your fate, your wife, whom you believed was merely a homemaker, commenced working in the kitchen. Zia slightly lifted his head. "Not cooking for you," Director Nkosi continued as if she could read his mind. She was formulating skincare products with herbal recipes from her family heritage. When you mocked her for being glued to her phone late at night, she was actually responding to hundreds of orders from her first customers. When you ultimately secured new employment and started becoming arrogant, she was secretly leasing an office for a small production space. The screen altered. Photographs appeared. A photo of a cramped office, a photo of a larger warehouse, a photo of a very spacious modern factory, and photos of ABO branches in New York, Paris, Shanghai, and Tokyo. ABO Holdings, Mr. Zai, it stands for ABO Holdings. ABO is your wife's maiden name. This company, this building, everything you observe is hers 100%. Zaya trembled violently. But how? The funds, the money. Ah, the money. Director Nkose smiled cynically. You always underestimated her because she never requested much, correct? You were proud to provide her a monthly allowance of $300 for expenses, which you frequently reduced when angry. You labeled her poor. Director Nkose pressed a button again. The screen changed. A large number appeared clearly. $1,500,000. $1.5 million. Director Nkose emphasized every word. This is Ms. Nala's personal monthly net income, which entered an account in her own name, of which you had no knowledge. An income far surpassing the salary of your company's CEO, the woman you insulted and evicted for being impoverished. Zia felt nauseous. The world seemed to spin. $1.5 million monthly plus bonuses. And your debt, Director Nkose continued. The $4 million loan you utilized to purchase that house and that luxury car. You were so arrogant when the bank approved it, were you not? A year ago, when you nearly went bankrupt, from mismanaging your side ventures, your loan entered default. The bank was about to foreclose on your assets, but Miss Nala knew. Through me, ABO Holdings purchased your entire debt from the bank. We settled it. Zia's eyes widened. So that house and car were already the property of ABO Holdings a year ago. Mr. Zia, Miss Nala salvaged your reputation, permitted you to continue residing there, allowed you to continue boasting about your supposed success. She was still attempting to respect you as her husband. She hoped you would alter. Zia's tears returned, not tears of remorse, but tears for his infinite stupidity. He had discarded his savior. She knew I was unfaithful, Zia whispered, terrified. Certainly, she knew, Director Nkose stated. She knew everything. One of the attorneys spoke now. And now, Mr. Zia, let us examine the evidence. The screen altered again. This time it was not financial graphs. It was video recordings. Zia observed his own living room. He observed himself tenderly embracing Anya on the sofa. The date in the lower right corner of the video indicated it was 6 months prior, when Nala had to attend a meeting for her group. The video changed to their bedroom. Zia observed Anya trying on Nala's garments and scarves, laughing and tossing them on the floor, and Zia was there laughing with her. And the final video, the most lethal. 3 days ago in the identical bedroom, Zia observed himself, standing arrogantly before the bed. He observed Nala lying weakly. He heard his own voice saturated with hatred echoing in that conference room. Listen carefully, you sickly, destitute little woman. I have already submitted the divorce documents. Depart from this house tomorrow morning. Cease! Zara cried, covering his face with both hands. Halt it, please halt it. The screen went black. The room fell silent again. Concealed cameras, the attorney stated calmly, installed a year ago by Ms. Nala when she began to suspect you had another woman. Zia was shattered. The evidence was irrefutable. He could not deny it. Nanala will incarcerate me? Zia inquired desperately. Initially, that was the plan, Director Nkose said. We had prepared charges for verbal domestic abuse, abandonment, and adultery, sufficient for you to rot in prison for several years. Zia trembled with fear. But, Director Nkose continued, Ms. Nala altered her mind. Prison is too comfortable for you. She desires you to experience something worse than prison, a life of humiliation. Director Nkose placed a thin folder before Zia. This is Ms. Nala's official divorce petition. It also includes a claim for moral damages. Zia opened it with trembling hands. Ms. Nala is not requesting asset division. She does not desire to take your tainted funds. She has merely reclaimed the house and car that are already hers, but you must still pay for your actions. Zia's eyes widened in terror at the figure in the claim. $400,000. 400,000, he screamed. I lack money. You took everything. Certainly not, Director Nkose smiled coldly. But you still possess your employment, correct? Ah, I nearly forgot. Director Nkose's smile widened. Breaking news, Mr. Zia. An hour ago, ABO Holdings just completed the acquisition of 70% of the shares of the company you work for, and as the new majority shareholder, Chairperson Nala's initial business order is a management reorganization. Your termination letter has been endorsed. You are officially dismissed. This was the final nail in Zia's coffin. He had lost everything: house, car, wife, savings, and now his employment, the source of his pride. You are demons, Zia cried, his voice fractured. We are merely administering justice, Director Nkose stated, and regarding that $400,000 debt, Ms. Nala is exceedingly kind. She knows you can never repay it, so she provides you an option. Director Nkose slid another sheet of paper before Zia. Sign this statement. Admit all your actions, your adultery, your verbal domestic abuse, and your abandonment. If you confess you were wrong, the debt will be waived. Zia examined the confession. It was the last remnant of his pride. Why do you require this? Merely assurance, the attorney said, so you do not circulate fabricating false narratives. Zia had no alternative. Dismissed, bankrupt, and homeless. With trembling hands, he took the pen offered to him. He endorsed the document confessing his sins. It is concluded, Director Nkose stated swiftly, gathering the papers. Just then, the conference room door opened. Nala entered again. She stood before Zia, who was now vanquished, head bowed. You divorced me, Zia? Nala inquired in a low voice. You flung those divorce papers in my face when I was ill. Nala extracted the identical folder Zia had hurled onto her bed. Director Nkose had preserved it. Before Zia's eyes, Nala gradually tore up the divorce petition Zia had filed. The torn paper fragments drifted onto Zia's lap. I am the one divorcing you, Nala stated coldly, and I will ensure you do not take a single cent. She looked at Zia one final time. Now vacate my building. The two security guards who had accompanied Director Nkose immediately entered. Remove this refuse, Director Nkose ordered. Zia did not resist. He was already numb. He was dragged out, his arms firmly held. He was pulled through the crowded lobby. Employees regarded him with a mixture of pity and disgust. The automatic glass doors opened and Zia was thrown back onto the hot sidewalk. He fell penniless, jobless, homeless, possessing only soiled pajamas, ironically a confession of his sins that liberated him from a debt. His ruin was now truly absolute. For the second time that day, Zia was thrown onto the hot asphalt. The glass doors of the AHB building closed behind him, separating him from the opulent world he had just discovered belonged to Nala. He coughed. Street dust entered his throat. His face was drenched with tears, sweat, and now grime. For a moment he did not move. His body was paralyzed. His brain could no longer process the ruin that had occurred so perfectly and swiftly. Dismissed, bankrupt, abandoned by his mistress, and publicly humiliated by the wife he considered trash. The confession of his sins he had signed felt like a death sentence. Passers-by looked at him peculiarly, a man in soiled pajamas, weeping before the lobby of a luxury building. A security guard from the building now stood at the door, observing him with a sharp gaze, ensuring he did not attempt to re-enter. Zia had to depart. He could not sit there indefinitely. With the strength he had left, he stood. His knees shook. He commenced walking aimlessly. Where to proceed? He had no house. He checked his empty pockets. His shattered phone had been left in the lobby when he was dragged out. Now he genuinely possessed nothing except the garments he wore. His stomach roared. He was famished. The last instance he ate was the tense breakfast with Anya hours ago. The sun was beginning to set in the west. The air was hot and suffocating. He recalled his friends, his party companions. He could request a loan from them. He walked several miles to the coffee shop where they typically congregated. With an expression of humiliation, he entered. Several of his friends were present. "Zia, my goodness, what transpired to you?" one inquired, shocked by his appearance. Zia recounted his story, a distorted version. "I was framed, man. My accounts are frozen. Lend me some cash." The startled friend's face turned cold. "I apologize, Zia. The news just disseminated through the group chat. You were dismissed from the company, correct? And Ebo Holdings confiscated your assets." Zia froze. "How do you know?" "Everyone knows, man. You provoked Ebo Holdings." "You are insane. I apologize, Zia. I cannot assist you. I do not desire trouble with Ebo." He swiftly departed. The other friends pretended not to observe him. Zia was left alone in the coffee shop's center. The waiter subtly ushered him out. He returned to the street, humiliated. He was now an outcast. No one dared to touch him for fear of Nala's shadow. Night descended. Zia was starving. He curled up to sleep before a closed store, using his arms as a pillow, shivering from the cold. The buzzing of mosquitoes and the odor of sewers accompanied his slumber. This was his instant karma. Meanwhile, in another city section, Anya was in a panic. She had managed to escape Zia's house with 2 suitcases filled with designer apparel and handbags. She temporarily leased an inexpensive motel room. She contacted other wealthy men on her contact list. She had to swiftly locate a replacement for Zia. "Hello, President Owner, it is Anya. Are you occupied?" "Let us dine together," she stated in a flirtatious voice on the phone. "Anya? Who is Anya?" The man replied. "Oh, President, it is Anya. We encountered each other at the party." "Ah, Anya, Zia the bankrupt's girlfriend." "Yes." The man's voice instantly altered. "I apologize. I am occupied presently. Do not call again." The call disconnected. Anya froze. She attempted calling another man. The response was identical. The news of Zia's ruin had disseminated like wildfire, and her name had been implicated. She was the woman who was with the man when he fell. She was the evicted mistress. Her reputation in high society and among affluent men was shattered. No one desired to approach her. Regrettably, her misfortune did not conclude there. As she lamented her fate in the motel room, a knock sounded on the door. 2 men in impeccable suits stood there. "Miss Anya, we are from the law firm Vega Associates." A court summons. Anya's heart ceased. She received the summons with trembling hands. Nala had sued her. The charges were adultery, defamation, and destruction of private property. Nala demanded compensation of $1 million. $1 million? She cried hysterically. She did not possess that money. All her handbags and garments had been gifted by Zia. The ensuing days were a nightmare for the 2 villains. Anya depleted her funds. She could not afford an attorney. She commenced selling her designer handbags individually at reduced prices to survive and pay for the motel room. Zia, after 3 days of hunger and sleeping on the street, ultimately swallowed his pride. He had to eat. He walked to the central market where porters labored. His face, once handsome, was now grimy. He had grown a messy, unkempt beard. "Sir, do you require assistance?" he inquired of the porter foreman. The foreman looked him up and down. "You appear clean. Can you lift sacks of rice?" "I am robust, sir." "I need to eat," Zia pleaded, his voice fractured. Transfer those sacks of rice from there to the truck. I will remunerate you $1.50 per sack, the foreman stated. Thus commenced Zia's new existence. The man who once wore impeccable shirts and drove a sports car now perspired under the scorching sun, loading sacks of rice weighing dozens of pounds. His body, once toned and athletic, was now emaciated. His skin was sunburned, dark and grimy. His muscles bulged not from gym exercise but from forced labor. His back ached permanently, and his hands were calloused and frequently wounded. He had long forgotten the scent of clean shirts or costly perfumes. He only knew the odor of sweat, market refuse, and cheap tobacco. What transpired with Anya? Zia no longer cared. The last information he heard from his fellow porters was that Anya, after losing the lawsuit against Nala spectacularly, had fallen into enormous debt. To survive, she became a waitress at a local bar. It was rumored she had been apprehended in a raid several weeks prior. Her fate was far worse than simple poverty. She was annihilated. Zia felt no pity. He felt nothing. His heart was already deceased. He labored like a machine. Lift a sack, receive payment, purchase rice, and sleep. That was the sole cycle of his life. That afternoon, after 12 hours of non-stop labor, Zia received his wages, $55 in crumpled bills. He departed the market, dragging his aching legs. He halted before his customary food stall, a plate of rice with a side dish to go. With the food bag in hand, he walked to a large intersection. He sat on the grimy sidewalk, leaning against a traffic light pole. He opened the food bag for his sole dinner of the day. Across the street, a giant video screen on a tall building's wall abruptly illuminated. It displayed the live broadcast of a business news program. Zia halted, bringing the rice to his mouth. His plastic spoon paused midair. On that enormous screen was Nala's face. It was a live broadcast of the EBO Global launch event from that morning. Nala's exceedingly clean, calm, and dignified face filled the screen dozens of feet high. A foreign journalist posed a question in English, subtitled on the screen. Chairperson Nala, you are currently one of the wealthiest and most influential women globally. What is the secret to your success? Zia held his breath. He observed Nala smile slightly. There is no secret, Nala replied. Her voice was distinctly audible throughout the intersection. I simply never ceased working. I never ceased believing in my capabilities, even when the individual closest to me underestimated me and labeled me useless. The food bag slipped from Zia's hands. The rice and side dish scattered across the grimy sidewalk. But Zia was indifferent. His eyes were fixed on the screen. Up there in the sky, the woman he had called sickly and destitute was being interviewed like a global business queen. And down here on the street asphalt, the man who had proclaimed himself a king sat like a beggar, observing the remnants of his dinner mingled with dust. Zia lowered his head profoundly. He did not weep. He simply laughed, a dry laugh full of despair. He had lost. He had not merely lost his fortune. He had not merely lost his position. He had lost everything. The woman he had abandoned now owned the world, and he possessed nothing, not even the pride to retrieve the fallen rice. Karma had accomplished its mission. Did you appreciate the story, and which city are you listening from? Let us meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can continue providing more narratives like this. Thank you immensely for your sweet support. I anticipate your comments on the story. On the screen, you can view 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There is significantly more on my channel. Do not forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story.